Hello again, Lockpicking Paul here, and tonight I've got the Camlock Systems Series 65 Axial, which is Camlock's update to the old tubular lock, and they've upped their game. So the Series 65 is the top of the range lock in their tubular lock range. The casing on this is hardened steel. Let's just zoom in. Drop a magnet on it, there you go. So that's already a serious upgrade, but the mechanism itself is quite a challenging pick. So the this outer shroud is like a fence, and the mechanism obviously rotates underneath. So this is directional. We put this in here and turn the lock. The whole mechanism rotates underneath that fence, which makes picking this and getting the tensioner and getting the pick out after you've opened it and getting the lock turned all really quite difficult. There's really quite a lot to do once you get it open. But before you do that, you've got to get past tapered pins, really strong steel springs, and an awkward tensioning approach. So it's tricky more than it is hard. You do have to make a tool to open this. I've made a tensioner. That's a tensioner. So, and how this works, there's a triangle on this lock. On later models of this, I think it's a red dot now, which probably makes it easier to see. This might be an early version. This just slots down here. This channel doesn't have a pin, and you can just turn it until it engages with the core, and then you need to push it towards that hardened steel center pin to keep the body of the tensioner off of that fence. You don't want that binding against the fence because the core underneath has to be free to rotate. So that's the first job. Make a tensioner for this tricky little thing. The bitting on this, you can see the different heights that the individual pins have to be pushed down to. In many ways, there is a lot of similarities between this and a fichet Bausch. So I'll just show you the key to that. Now, of course, the fichet has levers that move in two directions, both down, and they pivot as well. This is not that hard by comparison. These just push down. There's no second direction of travel. But still, as far as tubular locks go, I think this has got some real game. I certainly wouldn't want to pick it in a real life situation. I find it to be quite hard work. It wants really quite high tension to get this open. So yeah, I don't think this is a pushover. But let's see. We'll get it picked. What I'm also going to do is gut it. There's a circlip underneath here, and we can pull that circlip out and gut this. I've not actually gutted this one. I've seen a Series 63 being gutted. It looked very similar. I think the difference is the 63 has like a brass or an alloy type housing. It doesn't have a hardened steel housing, but in every other way it should be very similar. So yeah, hopefully that'll go and we won't brick anything. We'll see. Right, I'll get this set up in a vise. We'll get it picked. We'll get it gutted. We'll have a little nose around inside. I will see you shortly. Right, so got this set up so the tension point is over here. Hopefully that'll help with the camera. Just prove this is all functioning. Right. Let's not bash the camera. The trick with this is to get enough tension on it and to not bind the fence. So yeah, fiddly. Start down here. This thing just loves to drop pins. Yep, that was a pin dropping. And another. That one's sat. That one's sat. Not yet for that one. Still getting movement out of a taper on that one. These all feel sat. That one's still not sat. Tiny, tiny movement. Cool. Still tiny movement. Tapered pins really make you work for it. That is now set, I think. Tiny movement out of that one. Still tiny movement out of that one. That one might be set. Still getting tiny movement. Ah, there we go. That is now open. But the you can see the cam moving. I've got to get this out of here without driving the lock round. You see how effective this what I don't want to do is relock it. So what I'll do is I've got to pick in there and hold it, I think. Right, and what I can now do is I can push the core round manually. Watch the cam. It should click into place. There we go. That's turned to one position, and if you're going to unlock this, you'd probably have to do 2 positions or more. But that is so tedious and painful. I am not doing another position. What we will do though is we'll try and gut it. Pretty certain I can't get the key in at this point, so let's just double check that. Yeah, so that is open to one position, and unlike most tubular locks, you can gut this, I think. I had a look. I haven't gutted it yet. This is going to be a first, and I've got to be careful, otherwise I'm going to eject pins everywhere. So let me zoom out for a second. Okay. Right. Whew. It came out of there with some force. So if I understood correctly, let's zoom in on here. I want to lift this directly up, because otherwise we'll dump pins. There's quite a lot of springage there. Yeah, I'm glad I did that, because you can see how wonky those pins are now. Because it was set, because it was open to one position, it's dragged all the pins around. So let's just slot those back in there like so. Quite a funky mechanism, this. So you can see the gates on those lugs on the side of the pins. I wonder if I can sit the key down on that. Yeah, I should be able to. Right. Hopefully nothing will zoom across the room. Yeah, there you go. So everything lines up with the key in. How cool is that? Not a lot to it, but this is a pretty cool lock, and I certainly think they've upped their game. That is no joke to pick compared to your average tubular lock. Yeah, so anything else worth seeing in here? So this is actually, rather than just a housing, it's part of the locking mechanism itself. You can see the gates are going to slot in down those grooves, and when it gets to the center, it will allow the core to rotate. So really quite simple, but very effective. And this being a hardened steel case makes it a tougher proposition for sure. Yeah, cool lock. Anyway, that is that. I'm going to carefully put this back together again before it falls apart and I lose pins and springs. Don't think there's anything else underneath this. No, very simple. Right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that, and more on soon. Enjoy your picking. Cheers.